Hi everyone, it's Legend here, and today I'm going to be talking about Zenless Zone Zero. So Zenless Zone Zero is the new Hoyoverse game, basically the new Hoyoverse gacha game, and I've been really enjoying it. I guess that's a spoiler for the title, but I wasn't gonna make a video just talking about my opinion, because I thought it was pretty obvious, the game's great, but I've seen a lot of videos, at least in my recommendations, of people saying the game is bad, and I think the reasoning is rarely a good reason. Usually just basically, I guess, baseless hate. Not baseless hate, but you obviously know this from how they're speaking, that it's just based on the fact that they have too many gacha games, so they don't want to start a new one, so they want to nitpick everything that the other games have done wrong too. So yeah, today I wanted to talk about Zenless Zone Zero, my opinion on it, and I guess my games of gacha games I'm gonna play, because I'll be honest, this is my fourth one, and I do not have time or want to play 4 gacha games at once, especially when I had 2 Wuthering Waves accounts, and yeah. So, I've been really enjoying the game. I wouldn't say it's my favorite gacha game. I think it's probably number 2 or number 3. It's somewhere around that. I still think it's hard to say, because I think Wuthering Waves, Genshin Impact, and these games, Zenless Zone Zero, are very close. I enjoy them all a lot. But to be fair, Wuthering Waves and this game are both pretty early to say. Genshin, I think it has had enough time for me to say confidently, obviously, that I like the game. But they do different things very well, basically. Whereas Genshin is very good at world building and the story, and just making the world feel alive. I think Wuthering Waves is amazing at making combat and exploration super fun. And I think Zenless Zone Zero, honestly, is kind of trying to do it all, and I feel like it could succeed. That's basically why I like the game. Now, does it succeed yet at doing everything right? World building, characters, vibe, music, combat, all of that? No, it doesn't do everything perfectly, obviously, but it feels like it's the closest to perfection. Now, let's talk about why I like Zenless Zone Zero and why I think what I think. So, first of all, the combat. The combat was, at least from what I've seen online and my friends talking about it, is the one thing that most people were excited for. But yeah, it's not Wuthering Waves level. It's not Wuthering Waves level. I think the combat system is Wuthering Waves level, but I do think that the amount of hard and fun to fight enemies is lower. Now, a lot of people were complaining that Zenless Zone Zero has really bad combat, which is not true. Obviously, people came from Wuthering Waves, and Wuthering Waves has existed for longer, so they've probably just done holograms. Which, in my opinion, holograms in Wuthering Waves are the best content in any gacha game, period. Honestly, I think so. Combat-wise, obviously not completely. So, coming to a game where it's easier again feels weird, right? But you need to remember that Wuthering Waves story combat was really easy. I was very disappointed with Wuthering Waves at first, because I was well, this combat is super fun, but the enemies are super weak, right? But then I played Wuthering Waves more, and I got the holograms, and that's the most fun I've had playing the game. Now, to be fair, the Abyss in the Wuthering Waves is still super easy, it's just HP shields. But I will excuse that for how fun holograms are to do. So yeah, obviously Zenless Zone Zero is gonna have easy bosses in the story. Who would have guessed? And it gets harder. I haven't gotten too far, but from what people have said and some of the hard mode bosses, it definitely has gotten to stages where I've actually taken damage, and I think that's great. Is it Wuthering Waves hologram level? Absolutely not. The problem with Zenless Zone Zero's combat is when it gets hard, it gets hard in numbers, while in Wuthering Waves it gets hard in numbers, but in other types of content holograms, it also gets very hard mechanically. As in new attacks, and you need to dodge, and basically you need to last a long time while dodging, because the enemy has a lot of HP, and if you mess up, they usually one-shot you, which some people might not like, but I love that. I love the difficulty in that. So what I'm trying to say is I think Zenless Zone Zero has very good combat, and I think it just hasn't fully realized how well they can make the enemies. As in, they should speed up enemy attacks, they should add unique attacks to enemies once they're higher level, to make them harder. But overall, I think the combat is very fun, and I think the amount of enemies and the diversity in enemy combat is good. It's just that I wish they got new attacks and such as the game moved forward. Next is gonna be about the vibe and art style, which I've been loving. I'm a big fan of Splatoon, and it seems that there's pretty heavy inspiration from Splatoon. The game kind of looks like Splatoon, and it has that futuristic, post-apocalyptic, colorful vibe, which I like a lot. I'd say it's I really like Genshin's this fantasy setting, but I do think that Zenless Zone Zero has the best setting and vibe for me personally, but that's obviously an opinion based thing. That's not something I can say oh, this game looks better and feels better, but yeah. Next up is the characters. I think this game has fantastic characters.
Did you call me?
There's the cat girl, but I don't think there's I feel like every character in this game is just unique in a way.
Come on, let's get to
Every character feels like a different character, and they don't feel bland. Obviously there are some a bit more bland. I feel like she's a bit bland, to be fair. Hasn't appeared in the story yet. And obviously I don't really know about these two. I mean, she's expressive, but she might be the most annoying character I've ever seen. But there are a lot of characters I really like, Nicole, Andy, Billy especially, Nekomata, Anton, Ben, Koleda. They're all very unique, and they're very likable. Obviously they are made in a way that because they are so expressive, it's always a hit or miss. So that means that there will be characters you hate, and there will be characters you love. That's I think that's how it's gonna go. I don't think anyone can play this game and be yeah, I don't like any of the characters. So yeah. Next up, music. I think this has. Would I say it? I think Genshin has technically the best music because of how in detail they are, but to actually listen to the music, Zenless Zone Zero takes the cake, in my opinion, as the best one. Wuthering Waves, I don't remember any song from it, I'll be honest. Besides the, what is it, the opening song in the menu, because it's always very loud. Basically what I'm saying is I don't think Wuthering Waves has any music that has stood out to me. Genshin has good music, Star Rail has good music, but I think Zenless Zone Zero takes the cake as the best music I've heard in gacha games. It's very, very vibey, it's very Splatoon-like, so yeah, it's really, really good. So, basically I think the art style, the music, the characters and the combat is really fun. So where are the problems? I think I don't personally have problems with the game, except the fact that I feel like I want to play as my characters outside of combat. You need to start an entire level just to see your characters outside of the menu, because you cannot walk around with them, you have to walk around as the main character. Reason being, the main character is not a playable character in combat, because they're a hacker, not a fighter. Which I think is a unique take, but I'd still run around as the characters I like the open world, but yeah, well, it's not very open, it's not that much. Which I don't mind. With Genshin having so much exploration, I think it's fine to have a instance-based game. That was the wrong combo there. No. But yeah, I really like this game overall, and most problems I have with it are either nitpicks or I think this could be slightly better, but it's already good. Now, the main problem after watching people complain about the game, because I didn't notice any complaints myself when I had played the game, is the combat. Probably just from Wuthering Waves players, and that's fair. Holograms are amazing, but I think it's stupid to say that Zenless Zone Zero has bad combat just because Wuthering Waves has amazing combat and Zenless Zone Zero's combat is good, but like not amazing. But you know, to each their own. And the biggest complaint that I saw was about the not the music, the TVs. So in the story you play as the main character who's hacking, and you're like in this little creature, bamboo thing, and you basically go through TVs because you're like hacking, you're not actually physically there, so you're moving as that bamboo in those TVs. And there are things like puzzles and instances that open there and stuff to do, and a lot of people didn't like them. And to be fair, I can understand that. That's an A. Finish the combat within 2 minutes 30 seconds. How long did that take? But for me personally, I just I didn't notice it. I didn't like notice the TVs being annoying. Oh, 4 seconds. But when people like complain about it, I understood it. But for me, I think TVs make sense. Could there be less? For sure. But I do think that it's like, I don't mind the TVs overall. I think they add to the story, and they didn't like. People were saying it removed their immersion, but I'll be honest, it like enhanced my immersion, because I felt like I was actually like, you know, hacking through, being that bamboo and going around the place. Obviously, I think it would have been better to just see from the eyes of the bamboo. I feel like that would have made more sense and be more like more people would have probably liked that. But yeah, I didn't mind TVs overall. And I think that's it for a complaint. It was either combat boring, TV boring. Yeah. And I get that. I think the combat has improvement it makes. I do think combat that has stuff like what is it? Like hologram type content, which is like old bosses returning but having like new moves, would be really cool. Why do I not get these? Oh. So I think I'm spending too much time in these combos. Basically, yeah, I think the combat can improve. I do think having more like being able to just play as your characters outside of instances would be really cool. And I think that I guess TVs could be reduced. I didn't really mind it, but if that's what other people want, and I understand why they want that, I think that's a fine change to make. But yeah, that's my opinions about the game, and I don't really have much else to say except this is a 1.0, right? This is the first, like, this game just released and it feels like it is almost perfect for me personally. So I do think that this game has, it doesn't have the most potential, but it has the most potential to become big, basically. As in, I think Wuthering Waves has the most potential, but it needs to fix and add so many things to reach that potential that I think it's not gonna do it, or it's gonna take a really long time. Whereas I think if Hoyoverse like listens, just do a few things, those a few things, Zenless Zone Zero could be reaching its full potential, which would be amazing, and only could be rivaled by Wuthering Waves if they do a lot of good changes. So yeah, I do think that this is technically the game with the most potential, the gacha game, and yeah, I've been really liking it. Now the question is, Star Rail, Genshin, Wuthering Waves, Zenless Zone Zero. I don't think I can play all of those. And as you've heard me talk about Genshin and Wuthering Waves, but not talk about Star Rail, I think it's pretty obvious. I think I'm gonna leave Star Rail. Kind of. Like, I feel like I'm still gonna play Star Rail when stories come, and I do think that it's very, very, like, easy to do the dailies with, but I've lost all interest basically in Star Rail simply because of the fact that I think the story is great, but the world and character building is terrible. Basically you do the quest and then there's nothing after that, and I obviously think the combat is pretty mid. Being a turn-based game, which could be biased, I've played tons of turn-based games, so I know how to make a good one and I know like what a good turn-based game needs. So having a simple system like Honkai Star Rail with immense amounts of power creep just kinda turns me off. But yeah, that's it for this video. Basically just made this because I saw a lot of people dissing the game, so I was like, hey, surely someone wants to hear Trap Legend's opinion. He's like a big YouTuber, right? Yeah, no, but yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.